I'm here representing the approximately 1,000 residents who live in our communities, about half of which are over the age of 80. I'm also here representing the 600 people who are on our waiting list hoping to move into a Cathedral Square community in the near future. I'd like to testify on two programs that are very important to the work that we do. One is the Housing and Conservation Board, which allows us to build new housing and renovate and make energy efficiency improvements to housing. And the other is the HOS program through the Agency of Human Services, which provides housing and supportive services for within 23 low-income housing communities throughout the state. Cathedral Square used to refer to ourselves as a housing organization that provides services. As more and more of our seniors are older and frail, we now refer to ourselves as a service organization that provides housing. But however you describe the work we do, I think what I'm trying to make the point is that services are critical to sort of attacking the healthcare costs that are a big piece of our current budget problems, and also that affordable housing provides a great resource to help us to meet this need. Cathedral Square recently, I'm going to talk fast. I know a picture is supposed to be worth 1,000 words, so I'm going to pass out some pictures of a recent project at Cathedral Square in Burlington where we installed a solar system, a new solar energy system. We serve 108 residents here. We have a very service-enriched program for those residents. We received an award for this project, which is from the enterprise community, and the award was for the shared values of the legislature in Cathedral Square in providing services. I also wanted to leave this hard hat with somebody to remind you of all the jobs that we create in this economy and how important that is to today. Thank you.
I'm Harold Mandel. I'm the Direct Services Manager at the Vermont Center for Independent Living. I run the Home Access Program, and I'm here to support the Governor's proposal for VHCB funding at $12.6 million. I first want to thank the legislature and all of you here for the generous funding we received last year of $1 million through stimulus funds, I believe. We took a waiting list of 185 homes and brought that down to 25. What that means is a wait from 4 years to less than 6 months. VHCB has been our main funder for many years and has provided just the best support. You cannot put a dollar figure on it, but staffing support that comes from VHCB. What I also want to talk about very quickly is the Home Access Program, as many of you know, provides home modifications that allow people to return or avoid nursing home confinement. What we have is a spending limit of $15,000 per home, and the cost of the folks being in a nursing home is $64,000 plus per year. So a one-time expense of $15,000 saves the state $64,000 a year. In addition, the human cost of allowing people to remain in their own homes and in their own communities, it just goes without measure. In addition, I just want to say that the program itself has 2 dozen small contractors around the state. So it not only provides assistance for people who need their homes modified, but it is a significant funding source for approximately 2 dozen contractors. One of those contractors, who was trained by our staff at VCIL, used to be on Reach Up and now has his own small business. And we are not his only means of support, but we are a significant part of it. So again, I just offer that VHB funding is critical to this program. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Karen Lacietta, representing the Vermont Local Advocacy Council. I'm here to talk to you about what I classify as a a mishap in the individual development accounts. For 10 years now, the state has had this very valuable program that allows low-income earners to save money and have it matched with money so that they can purchase a home, go to college, or start a business. The IDA program has been funded in the past number of years at about $159,000. 2 years previous to last year, it was funded at $135,000. Last year, because there was such a tough budget crunch and because there was the availability of some federal monies, the legislature, although it was proposed to be completely eliminated by the governor's budget, the legislature put language in the bill saying that it would be funded at the $150,000 level. $73,000 of that was federal funds, $29,000 was discretionary community service block grants, and $48,000 was general fund dollars. By some mishap or accident, it was listed on the financial sheets for the administration was only the $48,000 of general fund money. So that is all that is in the budget this year to fund the IDA program. The language, which I will pass out to you, basically says exactly how you would fund it. This is in last year's budget. And it says that it is the intent of the General Assembly to fully fund the IDA program in future fiscal years as an important tool for the state's economic development through providing match savings for starting small business and through a promotion of financial literacy. So even though it was not legislative intent, I have talked to the commissioner, I have talked to the Secretary of Human Services. They did allow me to say that in fact it was an oversight, but even though it was not an intent, this represents a 65% cut. So obviously what we're asking for is that the legislative intent of last year be considered and to find those dollars. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. Sarah, can you
Good afternoon. I'm Mary Niebling. I'm Director of Community Economic Development for Central Vermont Community Action Council. Quite a mouthful. I'm here to talk about the Vermont IDA program, follow up on Karen's testimony. It has been around since the legislature passed it. The IDA legislation, individual development account legislation, and as part of welfare restructuring in the 2000 session. It's achieved great success. We've received 777 accounts through the legislator's action. The material that I just passed around shows the history of appropriations that have been made and the final number of 777 accounts. We've leveraged with that money about over $1 million in federal funds that we've used to match the savings and provide a small amount of administrative funds for the program. We've achieved great success. We have 662 people who have made match withdrawals. Most of them have invested in a small business, either starting or expanding. 150 have invested in post-secondary education, and 134 people have purchased homes, their first-time homes, all of which have a substantial impact on the economics of the state. We've been putting together a strategic plan, which I have just a few copies of, if anybody is interested in seeing what our future looks like. But these funds are important not only to match people's savings, but also to provide the financial counseling and training for participants. I urge you to fully fund it. Thank you.
Okay, yes, we have an application.
No problem. My name is Ed Paquin, and I'm the Director of Disability Rights Vermont, but today I'm speaking as the President of the Vermont Coalition for Disability Rights, and I thank you for the opportunity to address the committee. I urge you to think about the havoc being wreaked upon people's lives by dramatic cuts to human services in other states that are actually in much worse shape than we are. But I don't say this to make your life easier or seem easier. No, no. I want to illustrate that our policies of assistance to people with disabilities and elders have paid off. We've consistently tried to support our vulnerable citizens in the most integrated settings, closing Brandon, downsizing VSH, which at one point had 3,500 people there. You know, if we were to do that today, I can't imagine how expensive that would be. And supporting home and community-based services for elders and people with disabilities. The administration's proposed budget threatens each of these programs by direct cuts and/or inadequate caseload funding. And you're well aware of the specifics. I think by now you've heard testimony. These programs, at their best, are tailored to the individual and delivered by your network of private agencies. They are generally more efficient than the institutions they have replaced, but we have chipped away at these systems, and when they fail in their missions, the systems that step in are more expensive and often less humane. People with developmental disabilities or mental health issues who don't get adequate community support often end up in the criminal system or needing other more intensive interventions. And when elders and their families no longer have the supports that they need to live at home, we will pay more for them when we serve them in a nursing home. I urge you to recognize that as hard as this year's challenges are, every time you build a budget, you're setting the stage for the future success or failure of your most vulnerable constituents. And the fact that our troubles are less than some other states is actually because we haven't failed to meet that challenge in the past. And I thank you and wish you good luck. For what it's worth, here's that. And then, in case it can give you some background, we did a profile of sort of the population of people with disabilities. The population numbers are a year old, but the truth is still there. And then there was this interesting article written by someone under this roof to the Vermont Digger that I thought might be interesting.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you.
Max Barrow.
Speak into the microphone as best as possible, but I'm a tall person, so bear with me.
It'll pick you up if you sit up straight. That's
Okay,
fine.
good. Well, thank you for this opportunity for me to testify. My name is Max Barrows. I work as the outreach coordinator for Green Mountain Self Advocates. GMSA has over 600 members with developmental disabilities. You saw many of our members testify on interactive television on Valentine's Day. All of us respect the hard work you do and realize you have tough decisions to make, but we have to live with the consequences of those decisions. For the past 3 years, people with disabilities have experienced budget cuts. Secretary Racine said people who have to rely on their family have to rely on their families more and their friends more. For me personally, that may be okay because I have a supportive family, but many people with developmental disabilities are abused or exploited by their families and so-called friends. For women without disabilities, studies show that 1 in 5 have been physically or sexually assaulted in their lifetime. For women with disabilities, the rate is 4 to 10 times greater. Studies report that over 97% of women with developmental disabilities know their perpetrator. 32% of those abusers are family. One primary reason for people coming into services is that they have been abused or they're homeless. Expecting people to rely on their families and friends is not always a safe option. Another issue is people coming into services, has to do with aging parents. Recently I spoke about Carol, a self-advocate from St. Johnsbury, who's in the network, whose mother just died in December at the age of 84. Carol told me, quote, "I am anxious about things and how they're going for me because of the loss of my mom. Just keep all these issues in mind." There's a printed copy there. Thank you very much.